This podcast is part of the 80s Ruled Network. Visit the 80s Ruled on Facebook for more 1980s awesomeness.
Hey, welcome back to another episode.
No.
I figure I got to do it sooner sometimes. Keep John on his toes. No, Kat, we're doing it. 1980s now.
It's happening.
A weekly examination of the importance of
no.
1980s pop culture.
She's just going to run you right over.
Play that music.
Sure. You want to do it? Is that what's going on?
All the people, wait, no, what? All the people you
I
want?
say all the people I know are here in front of me on a screen. Who's messaging me? Whenever I get a Facebook message, it's usually John or you. So,
yeah. Well, your favorite people, let's be fair.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know other people, but they're not as cool as Kat.
Yeah, I know other people, but they don't message me either, though.
No. So they don't love you like we do, is what you're saying.
Oh,
That's
wow. What a
right.
great welcome back that is. And it is.
That
Hey, welcome back
is
to another
right.
episode of 1980s Now, a weekly examination of the importance of 1980s pop culture and its influence today.
Oh,
My name's Will, and joining me as always are my friends and co-hosts, Kat and John. Hey, guys.
hi, guys.
Hello.
Who was that? What character was that?
I don't know. It's emerging.
Yeah.
And of course, John, in addition to completing his summer residency with us, is also hosting his own podcast and has been Gen X Grown Up. Check that show out too.
Yeah.
Hey, on today's show, we're going to be living like, no, we're not. We're going to be questioning whether or not parents should let their kids live like it's Stranger Things. We're talking about right now, should they be doing that? Before we do that, we're going to chat about 1980s news, including a new album from a music legend, the role that Robert Englund didn't get, a real-life Chucky, the loss of an iconic treat, and the trailer for Dungeons & Dragons.
That's a lot of stuff.
Look at Will writing a tease. That's like uptown big-time podcasting.
I was listening to Gen X Grown Up earlier today. I got to tell you the truth. John did that, and I was like, oh, yeah, we should do that too.
Hey, you know what? You can have that royalty-free because I didn't invent it. You're totally welcome.
Thank you. Okay. And now we're going to do fourth listener email. This is up Karen, our fourth listener. I'm just going to read your emails as ours.
Maybe dial that one back.
Okay. Hey, guys. So look, we're back. We took a month of July off.
Sort of.
For lots of reasons. Sort of? Oh, yeah. Well, sort of. Yeah. I was here every week. Honestly, I was here every week recording something, but it was short.
Yes, you were.
For the most part, I
A
got
man who never sleeps.
Yes.
Will.
But, but you guys had some, fun. I did take some time off ultimately at the end of July. I just got back from my trip.
Yes.
Good for you.
And I know you guys had some adventures as well. So I wanted to touch base with you to find out because, they were, look, you're my friends, but also they have ties to what we talk about here, including, 1980s pop culture, including Kat's concert and John's convention. So Kat, you traveled to jolly old England to see your favorite band.
I did.
How did it go?
The concert. Oh, the concert was amazing. And it was like two concerts in one.
Okay.
Although there were other performers too that I didn't get to see. But Nile Rodgers was there with Chic, and they did a whole set. And I was exhausted from that. And I was like, I need to call up some more energy for the reason why I'm here.
When Nile Rodgers came on, did you freak out?
Yes. Yes, we did.
That's what you should.
He was so cute. He came out and was just waving at people before anything.
That was the whole
before
thing?
they even came on. Yeah, that was it.
Oh, my money back.
And my set's over.
I'm not even sure that was Nile Rodgers. Did you know who that guy was?
He had a pink suit on.
So he opened for Duran Duran?
Yeah, sort of. It was a festival, so there were
I
other
see.
performers earlier that we didn't really get to see.
Okay.
But he was the set right before Duran Duran, and then he himself came out and performed with them for a few songs.
Very
cool.
Yeah. And there's no words to describe how amazing Duran Duran was. It was
Best moment, Kat? What was the moment? What was the chill moment? I know you had it.
oh man. Well, it was an overall peak experience.
Okay, all right.
Oh man.
It'd be great if she was like, well, I guess the best, I had the chills when Simon and I were making out.
My husband did give me a pass. He said, if you find yourself alone in a room with Simon Le Bon.
Does that motivate you to try to get in a room with Simon Le Bon?
No. What am I going to do?
It didn't demotivate her.
I'll be like, can I have a hug? Wait, what?
And while you're at it,
Look, can you read this card that is signed and notarized?
So there wasn't any one moment, but every single song that came on, it was and
Wow.
actually the peak. It wasn't a moment, but just like singing along with the crowd, and it was. I mean, everybody, like every single song that came on, it was, even the new ones. Everyone was excited about every single song, and so just being with a group that everyone was just loving every moment of it. Yeah. That was really cool.
Was it a mix of older and younger people, new fans and fans your age, that sort of thing?
It was quite a mix.
Yeah.
I'd have to say, I mean, maybe it was mostly folks my age, but I did
in their prime, you mean, of course.
That's right. That's right. A lot of youngins like me. Yeah. But there was definitely a range. And there were a lot of drunk British people too. And one of them kept leaning on me, using me as a stand.
What you mimed was as if they were using your head, like holding your head, like a cane or something.
So, my shoulder.
Oh, okay.
I kept feeling a shoulder or a hand on my shoulder, and I'd look, and this person would say, "It's okay."
I am not a shillelagh. Get away.
No, exactly. It's not okay.
It's okay if I touch you. Well, they drive on the opposite side of the street, so maybe consent also works differently.
Before you travel to Europe, we need to talk, Will. Just
Okay.
if that's your assumption, we need to clarify some things for you.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Well, very cool.
Get into trouble that way.
What was the encore song? Or songs?
Oh, the encore song. Actually, the first encore song. There were two. First one was "Save a Prayer," and Simon told everyone to take out their cell phones and turn on the flashlight. And a few goofy people around us actually used lighters. Old school.
Physical lighters. Yeah.
They didn't follow instructions. But then the very last song was Rio.
Oh, very cool.
Last one, yeah.
And you knew it was.
Yeah.
Every time they played something that wasn't Rio, that was coming for the
Yes.
encore.
And he even said before they played it, he said, "Should we do it now?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be the big one that folks would anticipate, huh?
Yep, I think so. I mean, of course, "Hungry Like the Wolf" was got a great reaction. Yep. And they had other old favorites as well. "Girls on Film," "The Reflex," that had a huge reaction.
And Nile Rodgers, actually, right? He's the one who made the Reflex, the version of the Reflex that became popular, certainly in the States, and I guess worldwide ultimately.
That's right. Yes, and Simon, before they did that song, he said, "Here's the man who we wouldn't be here without him, and we're going to do the song that he first gave us a very big jump with." I mean, they were already established, but
and certainly popular in Europe.
Very
cool.
Yes.
That's epic. What a cool experience, Kat. I'm glad you got to go.
Thank you so much.
So, likewise, John was reveling in in all things our generation over at the Southern Pride Gaming Expo, where Gen X Grown Up were invited to do a panel. How did that go, John? How'd your panel go?
Yeah.
Oh, 2 panels, in fact, and they were great.
Ooh,
well received, great crowds. This time around, we recorded them, so we're actually going to release them as bonus episodes later. For those of you that couldn't join us, you get to revel after the fact along with us.
Nice.
Southern Fried Gaming Expo is such a fun show. And this year, for the first time in years, we just went for us. Like, we did our panels, but we weren't running like a booth where we were sitting and manning it. So we got to spend lots of time in the arcade and lots of time playing board games and hanging out with friends and meeting people. And it is just... as soon as you hit like mid-Saturday, you're like, oh, it's almost over. Like, it's almost Sunday, and then it's almost done. Yeah. Like, it should be a week long. It really should. But It went great, and then it wound up really poorly for me. Sunday morning, I was awakened by a police officer letting me know that my car had been broken into in the parking lot.
Oh my goodness. Well, how did
I was one of.
How they know it was
They
you?
found out my emergency contact from something in my car because the windows were smashed open, and they called my wife, and they knew. Then they called me anyway. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because it was wide open. I was one of 23 cars that got smashed into in this parking lot.
23.
Yeah. So I spent Sunday morning putting plastic bags over my shattered windows tried to enjoy the rest of the show pretty well. Yeah. And then I got home and contracted the BA5 variant of COVID. And so I had that for a few days. So it started great.
Bad
and
attitude
ended
variant.
poorly.
Man.
Yeah. It didn't diminish the fun of the weekend, but it definitely put a damper on the kind of the afterglow of a fun weekend like that.
Yeah.
Man. Well, tell us about the panels. What were the panels about? Was it about podcast or?
Well, so our panels are basically little live podcasts, but they're not about podcasting. So this is a gaming convention. It's about all things, whether it's video games or board games or pinball or whatever, right? And so we did one panel that was run pretty much by my colleague George, and that was about the investment potential and collectability of these little mini arcade machines. Anything from the like the quarter-sized ones down to the keychains ones, and how they're holding their value, investment opportunities, rareness, things like that. Well received. And then Saturday, we had a panel all about computer gaming in the bulletin board system era. And what it was like, dialing in and taking your turn and dialing in later and playing checkers and chess and messaging with people. And we had a lot of older people smiling and nodding. It had a bunch of young people who were, you old guys were entertained by simple things, weren't you? Like, yeah, we were, but it was, the panels went great. We had a really good time and well received. And the fact that they weren't on top of everything else, that was kind of the cherry on top of the weekend. Right. It made them all that much more fun.
Very cool.
And those were before the window incident.
Those were all before the bad things started to happen for me in Atlanta.
It could have messed with your mojo or you, right?
Right.
It could have. It could have.
It could have. Yeah, but it didn't.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, they were very kind to welcome us there. We had a really good time. So I'm eager to go back again.
Oh, very cool. So next year, will you do something about your car? I mean, maybe you'll take an Uber there?
Or
somebody asked me about that, and I said, have you heard the saying that a ship in its harbor is safe, but that's not what ships are built for?
Oh.
I could leave my car at home and it's perfectly safe, but I like to drive it. I enjoy the driving. I could stay home and there's no risk, but I could go out in the wild and maybe get struck by lightning or hit by a hit and run. Life is risk, and you could live super safe and not enjoy it. So I was inconvenienced by some criminal, but I still had the enjoyment of the drive with a friend and being on the open road and taking my car out and letting it stretch its legs. And that's what it's for.
And the sound
and the flapping of the plastic on the way out. Yeah,
and on the return back, the flapping of the plastic.
Yeah, me too. Yes. George,
thanks for that,
George,
Kat.
can you speak louder? What? Well, very cool. Hey, I am so glad and excited to be back with you guys because, look, I missed chatting with you. I was chatting with myself for a few weeks there until Kat joined me.
I missed you guys too.
And our friend Professor Mike Brass sat in once too. But hey, it's good to be back and chat with you and blah, 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 whatever.
And blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Will, what about your time away?
Tell us. it was not Gen X anything. It wasn't 1980s, whatever. It was fun though. It was, I got to tell you guys, this is going to sound sick, right? I mostly just think about getting back to the podcast when I'm on vacation. Like, what am I not doing? I mean, I gotta. So my wife was kind enough to let me take my computer with me, so I did a few things. But
it's the sparkling personalities of your co-hosts that leave a vacuum in your life when we're not together.
Yes.
I get it.
You guys, I did take down the cushions that I had shoved together and put T-shirts on to look like you, to be in the room here. Kat's had a wig on.
I'm not sure that's healthy.
Yep.
Yeah.
John, I'm going to have to update yours with some more facial hair.
Yes.
Yeah. A little scruffier.
I mean, I don't need them anymore. I've gotten rid of them. But anyway,
The genuine articles are back.
my time was restful. Yeah.
Good.
Well, I appreciate your updates, and now let's get updated on some 1980s news. Hey, this week, which actually happened a couple of weeks ago, but this week for us on 1980s news, Alan Parsons released a new album.
Squeeze!
Look at John. Look at
And
John's
1/3
face.
of our show was excited.
A third of us are excited about this.
So just a couple of weeks
excited
ago,
for you,
on
John.
July 15th, Grammy Award-winning music legend Alan Parsons released his latest album, From the New World. This LP continues the classic sound that Parsons has become known for during his impressive 50-year career. That's insane.
That is crazy.
And this one features a number of guest performers, including the guitar virtuoso Joe Bonamassa, Joe Bonamassa, David Peck, and American Idol alumni James Durbin. If you had been paying attention, he released a couple of singles before the album came out, including, I know what this thing is, but I don't know that I ever know how to say it.
Oh.
Ouroboros?
Yes.
Close enough.
Yep.
Ouroboros?
Yep.
Ouroboros.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ouroboros.
Think of like Aurora in your mouth. Try to say
Aurora.
Aurora. It's Ouroboros.
Ouroboros. Okay.
Yeah. You're there.
And that song featured Tommy Shaw from Styx. Yeah, I had to look up what Ouroboros was. So I say I know what it is. I only know what it is because I looked it up a few hours ago. But it's that serpent eating itself symbol that I believe originated.
I had to refresh my memory on it too. Yeah.
Which was on the cover of the Alan Parsons Project album, Vulture Culture.
Whoa.
You knew that already.
What?
There's quite a bit in this album that is referential back to the rest of Alan Parsons' career.
Okay, I see. So that's the self-consuming circular time.
Maybe most importantly is the first track on the album, which is called Fare Thee Well.
Okay.
Which is, it's reason enough to own the album if you're an Alan Parsons fan, because the entire song is a love letter to his longtime collaborator, Eric Wolfson.
Right.
He and Wolfson formed the Alan Parsons Project together. Sure. And Wolfson was the voice, who sang Time and Eye in the Sky.
Right.
Oh, he's the voice.
Alan Parsons was not the vocalist. So while Alan Parsons is the engineer and creates the sound, Eric Wolfson was very much the heart and voice of the Alan Parsons Project. And he passed away some 15 years ago or so. And Fare Thee Well is a love letter back to Eric Wolfson. And it name drops all these different songs that Wolfson wrote in it. And at the end, there's even a line that says, "Son of Wolf, gone too soon," whatever. Your songs will live on. It's the best part of this album. Not to say that the album is bad. I have thoughts on it. I prepared a review if anybody cares. But this first song is enough to own the album if you're a fan. It's really touching.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did start listening to it.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Did you start with the first track, Fare Thee Well?
I did. Yeah.
You did?
Because I like listening in order.
Yeah.
Because I figure a lot of artists they want it to be presented a certain way. So
Certainly of a certain generation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, we can bring this up at all because even though the Alan Parsons Project formed before the 1980s, his biggest hit was in the 1980s, Eye in the Sky, that John mentioned, which charted at number 3. This is shocking to me that it would be even number 3. I knew it was a hit, but number 3 in the Billboard Hot 100. And the album of the same name, but it came from, was number 7 on the Billboard 200.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's his biggest hit. Yeah, for sure.
That song, my sister and I, we used to pretend like we were a band. And that was one of our songs that we would perform. That and Eye of the Tiger, because we thought that was cool. We had Eye of the Sky.
Eye of the Sky, Eye of the Tiger. Yeah.
And they came out like a month apart. So they were both on the radio all the time.
And almost everyone knows the prelude to Eye in the Sky called Sirius, which is the song now associated with the Chicago Bulls entrance theme.
Right.
Yeah, I saw that.
And
that's
literally just the intro to Eye in the Sky. That's all that was on the album.
They actually on Cobra Kai, they had that. They used Sirius. When Johnny tells Miguel he's going to be his sensei, they have it. They have it kick in. Yeah.
Maybe that's why it was so familiar to me. I don't remember it from back then, but I did listen, and I was like, I feel like I've heard this before.
Yeah,
you have.
Maybe from Cobra Kai.
Or maybe you heard it because even before the Bulls used it in the 90s, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat used it as his entrance music.
Oh my gosh.
in the 1980s. Yeah.
Maybe that
I
was
want to
it.
see a steamboat dragon. That sounds cool.
Dragon boat.
A steamboat dragon motorboat?
Oh no.
All right, hey, let's move on. All right, hey, another 1980s news. As told to Collider, Robert Englund blew his audition for a completely different Stranger Things character. Folks who caught up on Stranger Things season 4, Stranger Things 4, as I believe it's known, know that Robert Englund has a prominent role in this current story. It's hard to imagine a better fit for him playing the role, which is Victor Creel, because not only is he a horror legend, but the latest season's big bad is definitely a take on Englund's most iconic role, that of the big bad in the Nightmare on Elm Street series. While Englund was perfectly cast in this season, he revealed to Collider that he originally auditioned for a different role in season 3, one that he didn't get. As he wrote, he told Collider, quote, "I don't know whether they changed the concept for the role or whether I did a sucky job at the audition. I know they said to me, read it like the mayor from Jaws." Now, that's one of my favorite character actors, Murray Hamilton, who played the role in Jaws. So I immediately thought of the plaid jacket and sunglasses and kind of a corrupt Southern thing. So I probably canceled myself out with that audition, end quote.
Whoops.
Yeah. So maybe they didn't know what they were going for yet and were just sort of circling it. And, you see a bunch of presentations and then ultimately figure out who you want. Of course, if folks may recognize the description or may recognize which character with Stranger Things was season 3 we're talking about, because it was the Mayor Larry Klein of Hawkins that role that ultimately went to Carrie Elwes.
And if the creators had a certain look in mind, then you couldn't get two disparate looking actors than Carrie Elwes and Robert Englund.
Good point.
So I almost wouldn't say that Englund probably blew his shot. It was just that they were looking for a very different look for that character, and Englund would never have played it the way that Elwes did. He would look different presentation. I'm glad that they held him for the role that he did in 4, because it was a single episode, but super impactful and pivotal to the story.
Yeah.
Did you guys know it was him at the time you were watching?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I
when I
didn't.
heard his voice, I knew it was him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
You didn't?
I didn't. I read about it after. I was like, no way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I assume I would have recognized him. I'm a huge fan of his, going back to the 1980s and prior, going back to V, when he was in V playing the character of Willie, which is sort of his breakthrough role. I think he was nominated for an Emmy for that, which is kind of insane to think, but it was the most popular miniseries at the time. But I did know he was going to be in the show playing that role even before I saw it. So,
So you knew even ahead of time. Okay. Did you also read that when he had the opportunity to audition for the role of Victor Creel, he jumped in his bathtub? He auditioned in his bathtub.
yeah, he took a very different approach. You're right. He said not only did he crawl in his bathtub, he was wearing an old bathrobe.
Right.
His wife sat on a toilet seat and filmed him with her smartphone.
And filmed him. Maybe that's what was missing from the first audition. He needed to jump in his bathtub.
No bathtub.
No
That's
bathtub.
what it was.
And he says he got a quick response that time, saying he got the role. So there you go, kids. Get a spouse or a parent, sit on a toilet and film you. Don't Google that. There's probably a lot of videos like that. Don't Google those words. Hey, another 1980s news. Talk about things you don't want to see. As reported by Today, Chucky terrorizes an Alabama neighborhood.
Oh, so funny.
The 31-year-old Kendra Walden was in her car with 2 other women when she first spotted a life-sized version of the murderous doll from the 1988 horror film Child's Play walking down the street in an Alabama neighborhood. Walden said she thought she was hallucinating. I think I would think the same thing. I mean,
and with it not being anywhere near Halloween, right? Like,
well, not only, but I mean, being the size, like 3 feet tall or whatever it is, 2.5 feet tall.
Yeah.
In the pictures, it's just surreal.
It's horrifying.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm like,
It's really creepy.
you know what? I couldn't help thinking. I kept reading the article going, all right, get to the part where somebody shot him. Because if I saw a life-size Chucky running around, my instinct is like, oh, selfie. My die is my instinct.
Right. I know how this film ends.
Right.
Get out of him, Charles Leroy, or whatever the guy's name.
Good memory. Wow, Will.
Walden said that when they got closer to him, they saw it was real. And it scared the heck out of us. Everyone in the car was screaming like little kids.
I love that.
Walden said her employee turned the car around so that she could get a closer look. And when they circled back, they saw the 5-year-old boy had his mask off, but quickly popped it back on when he crossed the street after they passed.
And then he was stabbed in the face.
John's counting on this kid being Chucky being killed.
He's asking for it.
I
Look, you're
agree.
going to dress like someone who needs to be killed.
I agree with you, John.
Someone's going to freak out. There are people who aren't right in the head, and they're going to see that. To quote my mom, my beloved mother, still alive and kicking, when I would dress up as something stupid on Halloween, some crazy's going to see you and do that to you for real. And that's exactly what I'm thinking about this poor kid.
Yeah.
Oh, look, I put a cut on my face. Some crazy's going to see you and do that for real.
Oh
It
my
never
gosh.
Yeah, you're right. This kid was lucky. And apparently lucky he just made it across the street safely because Walden uploaded 3 photos to her Facebook, and folks, not everybody had a cute reaction to this kid. Some of them were just concerned for his rearing. And I think this is related directly to our letting your kids grow up.
It is indeed.
Stranger Things.
Run him down. Hit him with the car.
Walden said that some people posted really rude things regarding him crossing the street alone and so forth. He did cross the street alone, but he looked both ways and made sure we were stopped before crossing.
Oh, very responsible little Chucky.
She added, it's sad to see so many people come at this mother for allowing her child to have some fun, with his grandmother close by watching it all. I wish everyone would be more positive. His grandmother watching him get stabbed by John. Die, Chucky!
There's not a jury on the planet.
Not in Alabama, that's for sure.
Right. You stabbed a kid? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Look at the picture. Up.
You were standing your ground, right?
Right, Castle
Sentence
Doctrine.
commuted. Chucky was coming at me.
Yeah.
Of course I stabbed him in the face. Oh, my
You know what? We're not
goodness.
even going to take this to trial.
That picture is nightmare-inducing. It's horrible.
Thank you for your service, John.
It's quite the mess.
Well done. If you see another one, do it again. Thank you, sir.
Good thing you were busy at your conference. Jeez.
Right.
He probably smashed your windows.
He's probably the one.
Might have been, yeah.
Oh.
Hey, in other 1980s news, as reported in the New York Times, just so it's got to be a serious story. It's New York Times. And it's certainly the saddest story we're going to talk about. The Choco Taco is discontinued.
Oh, do the voice. Do the voice for this.
Choco Taco. What voice?
True crime voice.
A Choco Taco ice cream snack. Just so I can annoy John.
Enjoy your Choco bars.
Oh, Choco. Oh, there you go, Kat. Damn, I am so slow today. You think I wasn't rested?
Did we mention you had a month off? Without
This
us.
is what we get.
Yeah.
So, hey, that nut and chocolate topped ice cream snack, first introduced in 1983, is being discontinued. Its creator confirmed this week after rumors of its impending demise. I hadn't heard the rumors. And quite frankly, I didn't know the Choco Taco was still around until not that long ago. I'd say about a month or so, within the last 6 weeks. The ice cream truck that comes to our neighborhood had Choco Tacos. And I loaded up my fridge.
Ooh.
Are you guys fans of Choco Tacos? Have you had a Choco Taco?
I don't think I've ever had one.
Oh, hell yes.
Right.
I've had enough for me and Kat. It's okay.
Okay. There you go.
Yes.
I will only feel sad about this if I never get the chance to have one. But when I was younger, I was fruity. I was all about the strawberry and the raspberry or creamsicle. I would choose a creamsicle over anything with chocolate.
Creamsicle's good. So my favorite ice cream truck snack is the Nutty Buddy, also known as the drumstick, which is effectively the same ingredients as a Choco Taco. Right? I mean, a Choco Taco is to a drumstick like a regular taco is to a burrito. It's the same crap. It's lettuce and burger, hamburger and beans and cheese and whatever. But
the burrito
they had the audacity to announce this on Tuesday. Taco Tuesday, they announced that the Choco Taco, you couldn't do it on Wednesday. You couldn't do it on Monday.
About that.
That was just salt in the wound.
Oh, no.
That was just nuts in the wound. Klondike.
Choco balls in the wound.
Yeah, the Klondike announced, unfortunately, or they posted on Twitter, unfortunately, the Klondike Choco Taco has been discontinued. We've experienced an unprecedented spike in demand across our portfolio and had to make very tough decisions to ensure availability of our full portfolio nationwide. What do they have? What would you do for a Klondike bar? That's one product. Choco Taco, 2 products. What else are people looking for from Klondike?
It's baffling to me that they can't somehow keep producing this.
The hell of it is, look, they still make the drumsticks. It's the same ingredient. Did they lose the technology to fold it in a crescent? What is the part they can't do anymore?
Now John's going to have to buy a drumstick and smash it down.
That's right.
I'm going to get drumsticks and a panini press and start making my own damn Choco Tacos.
Lay them opposite each other and, oh my gosh.
You'd have to heat it up a little too, yeah.
Yeah, a little melt.
Well, you got to melt it and then refreeze it. Yeah, of course.
Is this like a Disney vault trick?
I've given it thought. I have given it thought. Remember when they canceled Twinkies and brought those back?
Yeah.
I assume this is a ploy. Look, they're not out of chocolate. They're not out of nuts. They're not out of waffle cones. I call bullshit Choco Tacos coming back.
It's definitely the most creative product in the ice cream, the pantheon of ice cream foods. Many fans, they mourn the loss on social media, bemoaning that it tasted like summer or childhood or a beloved memory, even if they hadn't had one in many years. And again, I had one just a few weeks ago. John's having one right now.
It's coming back. Mark my words. This is a ploy. It's like New Coke. Oh, we're getting rid of it. Yeah. So now, would we have talked about Choco Taco if they had not announced the end of it? No. So now everybody's talking about it. They're going to bring it back next summer, and everybody's going to rejoice like it's freaking pumpkin lattes at Starbucks.
Or maybe
the McRib. The McRib is back.
We really hit on something that John's passionate about more than Alan Parsons.
I'm being manipulated by Klondike, and I don't care for it.
If they really wanted to go the new Coke route, John, they should release the Choco Burrito, and everyone's going to hate that.
I don't know. That sounds all right.
Alexis Ohanian, the co-founder of Reddit, was among those hoping he could find a way to return. He tweeted, "Dear Unilever," who's the owner of Klondike, "I'd like to buy the rights to your Choco Taco and keep it from melting away from future generations' childhoods." Stephen King tweeted, "If Choco Tacos are gone, what's next? Hershey pies, salt and vinegar potato chips, baseball, American democracy? I tell you, this is how it starts." John could have tweeted that as well.
Yes.
To both of your points here regarding this being a scam, maybe, just recently, Klondike tweeted something that offers a glimmer of hope, saying, "We're working hard to find a way to bring Choco Tacos back to ice cream trucks in the coming years." So, I don't know. I guess you guys.
I'm so shocked.
You guys are right.
How about a Choco Chalupa? That's a pretty good alliteration.
That'd be fine.
That'd be fun to say.
A double decker.
Yep.
Oh, we could do a fajita Dorito Locos Choco Taco.
It's an ice cream sandwich folded in a nutty butter or whatever that was. Folded in a. You'd have to do some kind of what's that word when you combine two words together?
Portmanteau.
Chocolupa. There you go.
Chocalupa.
Oh.
All right, there you go.
Oh.
Chocalupa.
And that's Will's audition to work at Taco Bell.
There you go. Hey, another 1980s news. San Diego Comic-Con 2022 just finished a couple of weeks ago, and it kicked off with a trailer for the Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, the movie that we criticized for having probably the most, lackluster or uninteresting, unexciting subtitle of in recent memory. For those who don't recall, the film will star Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, Regé-Jean Page, and Justice Smith, among others. The scenes in the trailer showcase all the dragons and swords and fantasy. What?
Among others. And then I thought of Hugh Grant.
He got reduced among others.
Right. Well, and him.
Hey, he's not really prominently featured in the trailer. We don't know what's going on with him in the thing. But the trailer while it didn't feature Hugh Grant, it did show off a number of dragons and swords and its kind of fantasy elements that we associate with the role-playing game.
I found him in there, though. I watched the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, he's in it. It's just
where's Hugh Grant? Okay, so you did see
it's him. It's a blink and you miss it type of
it is, yeah.
moment, yeah. The synopsis of the official synopsis of the film is: a charming thief and a band of unlikely adventurers undertake an epic heist to retrieve a lost relic, but things go dangerously awry when they run afoul of the wrong people. The wrong person, and others. What'd you guys think? You watched the trailer? Are you interested now? I'm
interested. It looks fun and funny.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I could be entertained by it, even though I've never played Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
I'm sure I would miss a lot of the references, perhaps, but I think I could still enjoy it.
I'm not sure what would make me happy for this film because part of me is like, look, I didn't dislike it, right? I'm keeping an open mind, but the trailer was so on the nose fan service. I'm like, look everyone, an owlbear. Look everyone, a gelatinous cube. Look everyone, like it's everything that you associate with the D&D basic set you got in 1981. And they flip through the monster manual. Let's make sure we show all of this. And I'm worried that they think that's what the movie needs to be. It's okay if that stuff is in there, but they brought it up front in the trailer. Was that just to make sure that people knew it was in it? Or is it just a big fan service film full of, excerpts from the monster manual? Just say, look, we have one of these. Look, we have one of these. And now it's a D&D movie. Yeah. So I'm not even cautiously optimistic. I'm cautiously neutral about it because I'm not sure. Like, if I didn't see that stuff, would I have felt better? I don't know. Maybe that was the right thing to show. But what do you think, Will?
John, I think it's one of the two things you suggested. The one being that they want to make sure that the fans are on board, because as you know, we've had some Dungeons and Dragons films. I think the most recent one was in 2000. It was terrible, and it wasn't like so bad it's good. It's so bad it's terrible. I think they want to assure fans right away, hey, we are fans too. Because you know what, it reminds me, like, we've had some folks, we have fan service films, as you know, and some of them get it right, some of them get it wrong. But I think the ones that, like the Ghostbusters Afterlife, where it's made from a genuine place of, I love this stuff too. I think if you convey that in the trailer, then, I don't know if they were successful, like you're pointing out, John. But I think that some of these things, like you're saying, it came in the basic set. But the basic set, like you pointed out, that's really old. So to go like for some of those deep cuts, like the gelatinous cube, like the mimic, I think folks that are fans are like, oh, okay, they know me, or they know it. They know the material. And that's comforting, I think.
I just had an epiphany. I think I know why I'm gun shy. Okay. I have the same feeling about this trailer that I had about the Adam Sandler film Pixels.
Okay.
Look, it's like, oh, look, we have Pac-Man in it. We have Centipede in it. We have Donkey Kong in it. And I watched the trailer and went, it's for me. It's respecting this thing from my childhood. And then when I saw the film, the stuff was in it, but they weren't respecting the material. They were just like, look, it's that. Look, it's that. Love us. And that's not the same. Having it in your movie is not the same as respecting it and showing homage to it. So I don't know if D&D is going to do that or not. I think that's what's got me cautious.
I'm cautiously optimistic, I guess. Unlike you're being neutral, I'm optimistic this is going to be good. All right. Because of those little details we talked about. And
I'm just optimistic.
What's that?
I'm just optimistic.
Just generally speaking,
we need that.
Fun.
Yeah. But I think, like Kat mentioned, that the other the other thing this trailer accomplishes is get folks that don't even know D&D interested, because it's just exciting and fun. At least it does look fun.
And funny. Yeah, it looks like there's some good humor in there. Yeah.
Now, of course, among all the Easter eggs, as John mentioned, is this owl bear, which actually isn't an owl bear so much as it's a druid turning into an owl bear using a magic spell that the druids are able to cast. Controversy is already run amok. Is that the right way? Among the hardest core fans, who are pointing out that a druid can't technically wild shape into an owl bear because an owl bear is a monstrosity, not a beast.
Oh, I didn't even think to.
That's like the guys watching Godzilla movies, and they're okay with, radioactive lizard, radioactive moth, radioactive bird, but you can't breathe fire underwater. That's bull. Right? So that's where you're drawing the line? Come on.
I still remember this example from years ago, seeing the original Superman, or I think it was the original Superman. Someone pointing out, come on, in New York City, getting a parking spot right in front of the Daily Planet, bullshit. I was like, that's what you're paying attention to? Is unbelievable.
You're okay with the alien who arrived naked in a little spaceship and was okay when he landed.
Superpowers.
So characters can't turn into the owl bear?
Oh, you really want to know? So a druid can transform into animals, let's say, beasts. Okay. So you've got your whatever you would consider like an animal in real life.
Okay.
Like a genuine animal.
Things.
Yeah.
Like an owl,
a bird, a dog,
a bear.
A camel, a horse.
There are some, I'm sure, fantasy creatures, I can't think of offhand, that are considered beasts, which is the certain classification in Dungeons and Dragons that are fantasy, but a druid could. Now, other types of creatures that are considered monstrosities or monsters, they're called monstrosities, and I think in 5e even. They can't. An owl bear is a monstrosity. Although some could argue it, whatever. It's so super nerdy, Cat. Originally, I think the owlbear, and like to John's point, I think in like in a D&D rule 1, the first version of the rules, I think it might have been a beast at the time. I think only recently they started changing it, and I think it's going back. So there's definitely a history where it could be a beast and it's fun. Who gives a crap? It's a fake movie.
It's a fake movie. And so, okay, so, but it sounds like it would be a thing all on its own, not something that somebody turns into. It would just be an owlbear.
Oh, yeah.
And
Well,
then,
yeah.
But Mr. Lucas, a tauntaun can't breathe.
I thought
He needs a certain amount of oxygen. Okay.
future Robert would be here
Hi,
soon.
future Robert.
Yeah. Yes. And you can encounter
I'm furious.
You could encounter an owl bear, like a real one in the game, and fight an owl
Yes.
bear, you know?
Yes. Okay.
But a druid theoretically does not have the arsenal in a druid's bag of abilities to become a monstrosity.
Well, I did wonder about that. I was like, oh, okay.
But it
that
looked
happened.
super cool, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
And now Kat's sorry she asked.
no one wants to see it transforming into an actual owl or an actual bear.
Right. I don't know, bear would be cool.
Yeah, riding a horse and then turning into a human or a tiefling. All right, hey, that was 1980s nerds. Both. Hey, we're back, folks. It doesn't feel like it. I don't feel like we're back. I want to say it feels like we never left, but it does. It feels like we left and didn't come back for 6 months. And I was like, oh, do we do a podcast? Which buttons do I press?
It's both. I feel like we were just doing this and it's forever, but I don't have to
It
push
feels
any buttons.
super comfortable to me. Like I really missed hanging out with you guys. There's something about this show that it's a show that I don't have ultimate responsibility for, and I'm so relaxed with you guys because I sit here and yuck it up, and then Will does all the work and does all the editing and all the promotion, and I just sit back and go, I wonder what he's gonna do.
And if it's good and funny, that's John there. That's the magic.
Yeah.
If the quality is waning, I have to take full responsibility.
Yeah, Will really pulled a boner on that one. Nice job, Will.
But you know, it's just like in Peter Pan when Tinkerbell needed your claps, or so Peter Pan said. He was lying. The claps that come back. Please like, rate, review, subscribe to reinvigorate at least me. John and Kat, they're fine.
So is Will saying that he's saying he needs the claps, but he's lying like Peter Pan?
Oh.
Yes. Ooh, I think I am saying that.
He doesn't really care what you think. Thumbs down this
that's
show,
true.
ASAP.
That's true.
He doesn't care.
I do care what you put on the thing because of the algorithms and all that. But honestly, yeah, I guess if you. Hey, on today's episode, as we mentioned, we're going to be speaking about whether or not parents should let their kids live like the characters on Stranger Things. This was inspired by a July 16th article in the New York Post by Lenore Skenazy. Shemazel.
All
right.
Potts and River Incorporated.
Incorporated something.
So in this article, Lenore writes that the Netflix hit Stranger Things stars a bizarre, otherworldly species. And no, I'm not talking about demogorgons or demon birds. I'm talking about kids who ride bikes, solve problems, and fight monsters all without their moms. The article goes on to explain some of the ways in which the reality of Stranger Things and that of the 1980s differs from the helicopter parenting style. That's, at least, I don't know how common it is necessarily. I didn't research that statistic, but certainly we are aware it's more popular than it was generations ago. She points out that a recent survey just from July found out that just 10% of American parents with kids aged 7 to 9 ever let them stay home by themselves. And 1 in 5 said they wouldn't even let their teens do that.
For different reasons. Yeah. Have you seen these teens? Yeah. I mean, really.
You got to turn off their internet access.
Lock the liquor cabinet. Oh.
In addition, the survey of 2,500 American parents commissioned by safehome.org revealed that parents don't feel comfortable letting their kids walk to school, ride their bike to a friend's place, or play in a park unsupervised until they are at least 12 years old. And 12 years old becomes a sort of a pivot point for parents in this survey, because at 12 years, then they pretty much left them to do whatever. So I think the question for us really is, when we're considering these different activities in the context of how we were raised in the 1980s, were we younger than 12 when we were doing some of these things? So, ultimately we had some of these freedoms, but
I would argue today that I had I was born at the exact right year, and I had just the right parents. I had a perfect Gen X childhood. And it helped probably that I wasn't like in the city. So I was very rural. So there's a lot more freedoms that come with being rural because you got a long way to go before you can find trouble, right? So you're in the woods, so that helps. But I mean, we lived in a mobile home that had a gas stove with a pilot light, and I was cooking. I was warming up SpaghettiOs or whatever, and cooking an egg poorly, I'm sure. But yeah, there's something about, I don't know why are Gen X parents, they're the ones who grew up to be the helicopter parents you're talking about, Will. It's like we overcompensated for something. It's like, did we think we were missing something or we lied? I think we were lied to by the media to think that we didn't get enough love or attention.
I think there's some things from our experience that perhaps we did decide, yeah, that wasn't a great idea. and then brought that with us, and maybe it's being applied to too many things. It's being blanketed over too many. I think
we were wrong.
Aspects, right?
I think we would. The Stranger Things kids have it right. I think they're learning something that we're not teaching kids today, and it's not the kids' fault. It's our fault.
With regard to how did we get here, I did some digging and I read a lot of stuff and I made a bunch of notes. But I'm going to just tell you sort of what I recall. A couple of things, I suppose. Going back, prior to the 20th century. Corporeal punishment?
So, you mean it's not a ghost?
Corporal punishment?
Is that at all like corporal punishment?
Corporal punishment? Right. God damn it, John.
It's a phantasmic punishment.
I'm going to cut it out and make it sound like you said it. Corporeal punishment. Corporal punishment was the norm. And everybody believed that was correct. In fact, I found something that said that this goes back to the idea that at some point, I think the Puritans believed that children were born inherently evil. And so you had to stay on top of them. And if they diverged at all, you got to get on them with the stick,
Right. Can't spare the rod.
Some folks suggest, so two things. One, one of the studies I read said that as we moved towards the more hippie era of the 1960s, notions of that started laxing. And we see a divergence now where folks that are more educated, whereas in the past it didn't matter. People that are more educated start seeing corporal punishment as bad, and people who are less educated are still with the corporal punishment. Moving to today, it's kind of generally thought of, for the most part, that that's bad.
Right.
That's one thing. Why? I don't know. Again, it was originally suggested maybe, education. But I think the other thing that I read that was more interesting was this idea that they suggested that now moving into the 20th century, from the 60s, 70s, 80s, at the income inequality became greater, and the need for higher education to get a higher paying job became more important. So that in the mid 80s, you started having parents where they could leave their kids to become whatever they wanted, and oftentimes they just followed in their family's footsteps to make around the same as everybody else. Instead, parents started really trying to get their kids to get good grades, get in better schools, so that they could compete and ultimately get higher salaries as we moved into the 90s and so on. That's one theory as to why people, we have helicopter parents now managing every nuance of our children's lives.
Yeah.
So I have a thought about corporeal punishment or corporal, depending on
it's the same
perspective.
I mean, it has to be corporeal.
No. It does.
If it's ethereal punishment, you don't feel that at all.
Excellent point. Good save. I don't want to scapegoat all of this, but a lot of the transition between the childhood that we had in the 80s and the childhoods that are subsequent coincided with the rise of the 24-hour news cycle, where you have CNN, you have MSNBC, and you have all these networks that need to fill it with something. And no one wants to watch good news. So you show the worst of human nature. The people that are tortured, the people that are hurt, the people that are mistreated, the people that are unfairly demonized. So everything that happened was already happening, but now we were more aware of it. And so the corporal punishment, suddenly corporal punishment was being erroneously equated to child abuse. Well, if you lay your hands on your child, that's child abuse.
Right.
I got plenty of whippings. Well, you know what? Let me dial that back. I got a select few whippings that are memorable. They hurt, but they didn't keep hurting after about 5 minutes, and they're still in my head. And I know the lesson that I was taught with those. They were for transgressions for which I was in great danger. And I was like, hey, this is a lesson. We're going to teach you not to do this again. Right. And I learned that lesson. Whereas now if you lay hands on a child, it very easily gets, oh, you're beating your kid. Well, yeah, but that's not the same as child abuse. There's so much in this news cycle that we have allowed to let us think that that's the norm. And it's not. That's the exception. And then it damages the norm.
Good point.
So yeah, I think the lesson, John is saying, beat your kids, folks.
Maybe you weren't listening.
I really wasn't. What was it?
Was there a belt
Not
involved?
So yeah.
There was at one point.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you say it that way, John, because it makes me think that, all the things that we didn't have in the 1980s that maybe are good ideas now, but we like to poo-poo them, like bike helmets and seat belts and maybe avoiding secondhand smoke. What your family did for you was said, look, you don't have a helmet on, stupid. So if you're going to try to jump a ramp that your friends made out of plywood, you may fall and get hurt. So I'm going to hit you now so you know what pain is and know that don't do that dumb thing. I'm not criticizing your parents, the way that they raised you, but more criticizing the fact that maybe we should have just had things safer. Now, I don't know what you were doing. You might have been doing something crazy. So maybe no amount of 5-point harnesses would have kept you safe.
I wonder what he was up to.
It's a story for another day.
Yes.
Oh, do you remember even?
Oh, yeah. I told you, I learned those lessons. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
So, John, you do remind me, though, that one of the things I read, and actually it came up in this article that we from the New York Post that we talked about, was this author suggests that since we don't allow kids the freedom today that we had in the 1980s, one of the consequences may be the increased levels of anxiety children have today.
Right.
Athena Health study concluded that between 2013 and 2017, the percent of pediatric patients with anxiety more than doubled. This journalist says that perhaps if you trusted your children or made them or let them believe that you trusted them with more freedom and independence, they would have less anxiety. I take issue with that, but I'll pause.
Yeah, that's a little too simplistic. I think there's so many other factors in children's lives that are not in parents' control, that are perhaps contributing to anxiety. Perhaps number one being like social media. I feel like there's just like the 24-hour news cycle thing, John, that you mentioned. There's just so much stimuli, and it's so much of it is negative. And I'm not so sure that this is a simple let's just let our kids roam around and do whatever.
I don't disagree with
want.
you, Kat. I mean, you're right. It's trite to say, well, it's a different world we live in today, but it's true. It's certainly true. Look, things happened. As Generation Xers, we lived through so many paradigm shifts in social issues and technology, in culture. We saw it all shift from one thing to another, like no other generation has. Maybe in the 40s, but even then they didn't have the technological advancements. The point is, where I'm going with this is, yes, it's a different world we live in, but the things that I tried to impart as a parent, and it wasn't easy, but it worked okay. I wasn't perfect, but if you illustrate to a child that you think they are incapable of doing something, they're going to believe you because you're their parent.
Yeah.
If you impart to them that I believe you can do more than you can, they might start to believe that too. You're instilling them with, well, somebody believes in me.
Right.
But if the parent thinks you're incapable of cooking on an open flame, of walking outside and playing by yourself, I remember riding my bicycle to school in elementary school, and it was, I don't know how many miles and blocks it was. And I was terrified the first time. I'm going to get lost. I'm going to get abducted. I'm going to fall and break my leg. It turns out I just went to school, and then I came home from school and did it again and again every day. And I'm like, this is awesome. I own this little town because I could ride my bike around. Nobody taught me that. They instilled it in me by, how am I going to get to school? You're going to ride your damn bike. Next question. Well, can I do that? Well, yeah, you know how to ride the bike, right? Your school is, do it. I think you are teaching your children what they can and can't do simply by whether you act, not what you say, but what you show you believe in.
Absolutely.
Trying to think, like you remind me, like I feel like as much I had a lot of freedom in the 1980s, certainly. Like we're talking about here, walking to school, cooking when you got home, your own lunch or whatever, that sort of thing. But there was some aspects of things that my mother did. She wasn't like helicopter parenting us. And I say my mother specifically because my dad, he came in to be a disciplinarian occasionally when it was, and mostly just because he was just so pissed off about something. He had to intervene.
Wait till you hear what your son did.
So like if you hear dad getting off the couch, you're fucked. That's it. You're done.
No.
If those springs start to squeak.
Oh man.
But I was going to say though that so among all the freedoms, but my mom was far from a helicopter. Well, I shouldn't say that, but my mom was to still some extent a helicopter parent. I remember being terrified of getting lost in a store, getting abducted, and mostly because my mother instilled that fear in me. Like stay over here, stay over here.
Stay inside of me. Stay right there, right?
And probably in part because like what you're saying, John, you have all these missing kids stories and aliens are going to abduct people and the Russians are going to bomb us on the news and in the newspapers, that it scared my parents too, at least my mom, into, and then, so maybe I'm the exception to the rule. But in addition to having that, I certainly enjoyed a lot of the freedoms that you guys are talking about as well.
Neither of my parents were helicopters.
Yeah.
and in fact, I spent an inordinate amount of time in places where kids really shouldn't be spending time, in bars, because that's where they were. So, and I was with them. I guess you could call them helicopters that way. And that's where I got to play a lot of pinball and some other fun games, bowling.
See, isn't it fun being in a place where you don't belong? That's where you get to grow and stretch as a person and go, this is weird and alien to me, and I'm going to adapt, and maybe I can do that the next time I'm in an awkward situation. Even hanging out in the bar with my dad and my mom showing up to go, what the hell are you doing at the bar with a kid?
No, they were both there.
I was great. I was having a great time till you showed up. It was
right. Oh yeah. Oh, they found me there in the bar.
You guys should have a podcast that's children of truck drivers.
Yeah, there you go.
That's us.
So I would say, yes, there were definitely, there was a little too much free range. And in fact, I made a conscious decision that will never happen with my children for various reasons. Learned from that. I'd wished my parents had a little more like, now stay where I can see you.
If I circle this back to what we were talking about when Will asked us what did we do on our summer vacation and said we should write a 100-word essay about it at the beginning, we was talking about what are you going to do next time? What about your car? And I said, well, risk. Life is risk. And you can have a child and you can keep them hermetically sealed until they're 21. Right. And then when you release them into the wild, they still have their pin feathers and they don't know how to fly yet, and they're gonna get swallowed by the world. But if you let the kid go out and get dirty and get lost and go where he's not supposed to be, that's living. That's the thing that builds character and interest. And that's why Kat has a story about being in the bar with her parents. Yep. Right? You could have just had another story about playing in your room, but instead you have this story about the bar. And that adds character and dimension and depth. And being overcautious, you can have a kid, but if you're not letting them live a life, what are you preparing them for when you're gone?
I was prepared to almost fall out of a truck because I didn't have a seatbelt on.
Ride in the back. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we rode in the back, but even in the cab, the passenger door was broken. It would just swing open going around a left-hand turn.
Do you have a rope?
There was a rope. My father had a rope.
Yep.
Yes.
Watch out when I do a tight left. This rope is not going to cut it.
So I'm wondering, like, since these are things that you... Cat's gone. Oh, Kat's really gone.
She remembered the rope, and that was it. We broke Kat.
Yeah. She's not coming back.
Nope. Bye-bye, everyone.
Yes.
We'll see you next time when Kat's with us once more.
No, some of the things that we were able to do, like this story that Kat's sharing, were we more cautious letting our children do these kinds of things because we just got lucky? I mean, the fact that Kat's not, injured, dead, otherwise because she was swinging on a rope from the back of a truck, she got lucky. Now she knows, hey, statistically speaking, I'm not going to let my kids chance it. I got lucky.
Yeah, somewhere in there. That's, I think, what's going on.
Survival of the fittest.
I found this one article on some website called Fatherly, also from this month by Patrick Coleman. And he ultimately how he decided to raise his kids, because he was talking about the benefits he thought of growing up in the 1980s. So the ones that were talking about the sense of self-esteem and, there's a bunch of words.
And others.
And others and Hugh Grantisms. No, but so this guy, Patrick Coleman, pointed out that ultimately he decided to raise his kids balancing out these styles.
I like that. Yes. Okay.
The one that struck me the most important is what John's talking about, and I think he touched upon too. And I realized I had been doing with my kids too, is trust. That their sense of autonomy, and ultimately, therefore, their sense of self-esteem, pride, self-efficacy is based on how much they believe they can be trusted. And I think you can instill that in them while still helicoptering in a sense, right?
Right.
I remember when raising my kids, both of them, as I mentioned earlier, they're a big difference in age. Unlike my mother in a store saying, hey, go, you're fine. You're going to be fine. But they knew the lessons about talking to strangers, being aware of the different dangers. But you're fine here. You're safe. Knowing that I was going to secretly keep my eye on them and make sure that they were safe. They didn't have to know that I was helicoptering.
Right.
The difference is, rather than you being a shield in front of them, you gave them tools and said, go use those tools.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I like
Learn,
that.
okay, the stranger rule, right? Taking candy from people, whatever, going in a place you don't know, that's be home before the street lights come on. You had a set of tools that if you adhere to those tools, my parents said, I'm going to be fine. And when I was, every time it worked, it gave me a little more confidence. There's a comedian named Doug Stanhope who I can't stand, but he has one bit that has resonated with me, that he has said that you should live your life with the concept of excess in moderation, meaning don't always be moderate. Sometimes drink too much. Sometimes stay up too late. Sometimes do crazy things. Don't do it every day. But if all you do is ever moderation, you never get to feel the rush of what life is and the things that life has to offer, and find out where the wall is and where's the barrier that too far is if you never learn it. That excess in moderation, I think, applies in parenting too. And it's what we got to do. I got to do, certainly. I won't speak for you, but some days I went too far outside of where I was supposed to and found out that I didn't die. And I'm like, okay, I know it's too far now. I know what's out there. I don't have to do that every day, but I did it. I did the Stand By Me kind of road trip with my buddies one time. I did that. So I got that life experience.
And you still had your corporeal being.
I did.
All right,
Still
everybody
intact.
ease back, okay? I'm coming back from vacation. And my fake vacation, because I didn't really take a vacation.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Oh, Kat, whose fault is it that Will didn't take the time off that he arranged? Oh, shit, it's Will's fault. Never mind.
I'm sorry I didn't drive somewhere and get my window smashed in, okay?
Oh,
my God, this is not, no. Look, guys. What I really want to say is ultimately...
Now the real Will is coming out. Now we see.
I've had enough rest. I was napping while John was talking just now. Ultimately...
What else is new?
This is not the show I want to have. It's the show we have. What is that about? You don't get the show you
Show you
deserve.
deserve.
You get the show you whatever. I don't know.
See, you make fun of the misadventures of others. That's what it comes back to you.
I think we can wrap this up saying that sociologist Annette LaRue that I had read talked about the two different styles. Talking about the one in the 1980s as calling it as
free range or something like that.
Accomplishment of natural growth.
Oh.
The idea that parents are there largely just to provide the basics: food, safety, shelter, love, and otherwise, facilitate a largely self-directed childhood.
Yeah.
Contrast it with what's more popular today: concerted cultivation, where parents are, dictating every bit of minutia of a child's life.
Coordinating play dates, all that kind of stuff. Right?
When children are raised in these two ways and then are compared later in life, those who experience the natural growth are more resilient, more independent. And the cultured cultivation tend to have a prolonged adolescence. But what are we saying? Hey, it sounds like ultimately a balance of these things.
Yes, a balance.
But relying on the techniques or the freedoms that we had in the 1980s to ultimately produce more self-sufficient people.
I think there's important things from both times. Absolutely.
To go back to your initial assertion that, hey, should we have kids living like they do in Stranger Things?
Yes.
Right. Well, clearly they shouldn't be jumping between realities and fighting genuine evil and those sorts of things. That's quite hazardous. But the things that show represents, which is a sense of adventure, a sense of camaraderie, of standing by your friends against all odds, those are great things that you don't learn when you're tucked under a wing. You only learn when you're set out on your own a little bit to get a little dirty and get a little scuffed up and find out what it means to be a good friend or a trusty colleague or a good listener to someone. You don't know that stuff if all you ever know is what your parents told you. So I think we could have wrapped it up at the beginning. Should we let their kids be like Stranger Things? Yes, we should, because you get a more rounded person in the end, probably, I think.
When I edit it, the show will go do that, John. So just cut straight to that.
Cut straight to
John answering the question.
Yes. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Hey, that's the show. Hey, don't forget to join us on Thursday. We're going to be doing this live and looking for your input when we talk about the worst films with the best soundtracks, the best music. Follow us on Facebook for more information about that. Hey, in the meantime, that's it, right? There's nothing else to talk about. No. We want to thank people, right? Hey, we want to thank our supporters over there on Patreon, including our early adopters like Karen Flieger and Kathy Burke and Rick Parker, and also our Secret of My Success level Patreon supporters, John Henderson, Craig Coletta, John Kaminsky, and the man himself that we're so glad to have back in addition with Kat, of course, John Reddick.
Thank you, patrons.
Awesome.
All of you who went to patreon.com/1980snow to help us continue our efforts here.
And hey, we will be back with more efforts real soon when we talk to you next time on 1980s Now.
See ya.
Bye-bye.